Okay, good afternoon. Today we'll see regulatory requirements for drug approval. We have seen overall introduction related with regulatory affairs. Then we have seen various responsibilities of RA expert and detailed information about why drug approval is necessary. We have seen thalidomide tragedy, and because of that, we started drug approval process before coming to market. We have seen different types of application need to the regulatory agencies, right? So these are investigational new drug applications, abbreviated new drug applications. Okay, these are different types of application need to submit to regulatory authorities for getting approval for further processes. We'll start with INDA. INDA means investigational new drug application. Its application filed to FDA in order to start clinical trials. We have seen the actual pathway. This is the actual pathway. We have to study preclinical phase. So in this, we need to access data related with safety and biological activity. Once we got reference, once we assure that we can go for next step, in this case we can file IND application, right? Once we complete safety and biological activity study, it require around 1 to 2 years, then we'll file INDA, right? So it is application filed to FDA. FDA, that means regulatory agency. If the drug was found to be safe from the report of preclinical trial. Once we finish preclinical trial, we need to apply for INDA, right? Once we get approval from regulatory agencies, then we can go for clinical trial. That means INDA is an application that need to be filed to the regulatory agencies for getting or for starting clinical trials, right? A pre-IND meeting can be arranged with FDA to discuss number of issues. Pre-IND meeting, so before getting approval, we can arrange a meeting with regulatory officers to discuss design of animal research, also discussion of protocol for conducting the clinical trials, review the chemistry, manufacture and control of investigational drug. So we need to arrange pre-IND meeting. Once they access all the data, once they check, they can go for approval of that particular document. IND application is filled to provide the data showing that it is reasonable to begin test of new drug on human. So that means once it is confirmed in preclinical trial that we can go further, in that case we can file IND application to regulatory authorities to start human trials. During a new drug early preclinical development, the sponsor primary goal is to determine if the product is reasonably safe. We need to check whether that particular product, whether that new chemical entity is reasonably safe for human use or not. We are checking at initial step. And if the compound exhibits pharmacological activity that justifies commercial development. So if these two properties are there, in that case, we can go further. When a product is identified viable candidate for further development, the sponsor then focuses on collecting the data. So what is work of sponsor here? He can collect the data and information necessary to establish that product will not expose human to unreasonable risk when used in limited at early stage of clinical studies. So we need to collect the data. That means the company who is applying for the IND application, they should collect the data related with all this matter, and they should also consider unreasonable risk at early stage of clinical studies. That should be considered. FDA's role in development of new drug begins when the drug sponsor having screened the new molecule for pharmacological activity. So during preclinical testing, we are checking pharmacological significance of the particular chemical entity as well as safety concern and acute toxicity potential in animals want to be test its diagnostic. So we are checking all that things in animal study, and we need to confirm it in human trials also. At that point, the molecule changes in legal status under the Federal Food, Drug and Cosmetic Act and becomes a new drug subject to specific requirement of the drug regulatory system. Here, once we got approval for clinical trial, we can study that particular molecule in phase 1, 2, 3. Once we got NDA approval, then we can go for phase 4 trial also. So there are four types of IND applications are there: investigator IND application, emergency use IND application, treatment IND application, and screening IND application. We will see in detail. Investigation Investigator IND application means what? It is submitted by physician. So generally clinical trials are done by physician, right? Here this application is submitted by physician who both initiates and conducts an investigation, and under whose supervision the investigational drug is administered or dispensed. So here physician is important. He is submitting the document. In that case, we call it as investigator IND application. Okay. Physician might submit a research IND to propose studying an unapproved drug or an approved product for a new indication or in a new patient population. So he can study for different reason. If the chemical entity is unapproved, in that case also he can file investigator IND application. Secondly, if the drug is already approved, but it has another pharmacological action, it has new indication, in that case also he can file investigation investigator IND application. So this is first type. Second one is emergency use IND application. Emergency use, it allows FDA to authorize use of an experimental drug in an emergency situation. So this is what, sometimes the condition might be such that we need to use that drug from preclinical level to clinical level directly. In that case, we can file emergency use IND application. So in that case, time period required for approval will be less as compared to regular submission. Does not allow time for submission of IND in accordance with 21 CFR. So there is requirement of forms that need to be submitted under 21 CFR. We have different sections like 312.23 and section 312.34. So as per this section, we need to file IND application. But sometime in case of emergency, we need to file emergency use IND application. Okay, this is second type. And third one is treatment IND. It is submitted for experimental drugs showing promise in clinical testing for series or immediately life-threatening conditions. Treatment, here in this case, again, it is situation like if we need a drug in a serious condition, or if there is immediate life-threatening condition occurred, in that case, there is no choice of drug available. In that case, we can file treatment IND. So here also, time required for submission of regular document is more. That's why we are filing it under treatment IND. We will get immediate approval so that we can start diagnosis and treatment of the patients. So this is treatment IND. So as per requirement, we can file different types of IND applications, emergency, treatment, and first one is investigator IND application. And last one is screening IND, that means regular process. Once we complete the data related with that, then we can collect the documents and file investigational new drug application to the respective authority. So here, this is procedure. Applicant or drug sponsor, he need to file IND application. There is review by CDER team. CDER, again, this is regulatory body. From that, we have different agencies do different types of work. So they will review medicinal, chemistry related, pharmacological or toxicological related, and statistical study reports. They will check safety review. They will check safety acceptable for study to proceed or not. Then they will overall check complete review reports, review complete and acceptable. If it is acceptable, then they can directly give approval for ongoing studies. If it is not approvable, in that case, they will send deficiencies to the sponsor. Then again, sponsor will check the requirements. As per requirement, again he will file the IND application. So these are consequences. If safety report is okay, then we can proceed. If medicinal chemistry, pharmacological, toxicological, and statistical reports are okay, in that case, we can continue. We will check safety related issues, safety report. Once it is okay, we can process. Otherwise, if there is any deficiency, in that case, we can convey that deficiency to the sponsor, and sponsor will work on that. Again, they will submit document to the IND team, and then they will continue the work. Once it is found that there is no deficiency, in that case, regulatory agency will approve that IND application, and then we can start clinical studies. Okay, then we can start clinical studies. So this is flow chart for IND application. Regarding laws, regulations, policies, and procedure, we have one important term, that is CFR, Code of Federal Regulation. Okay, Code of Federal Regulation. Final regulations published in the Federal Register. Daily published a record of proposed rules, final rules, meeting notices. These are generally included in Federal Register CFR. त्याला आपण Code of Federal Regulation म्हणतो. The CFR is divided into 50 titles that represent broad areas subject to federal regulation. FDA portion of the CFR interprets the Federal Food, Drug and Cosmetic Act and related status. Section 21 of the CFR contains most regulations pertaining to food and drugs. So here, related with regulation laws, we have CFR 21, that is common term used in pharmaceutical industry. You can see 21 CFR, section 21 in CFR, that is most important. And as per that CFR section, we are filing various types of applications to the regulatory agencies. So these are different 21 CFR sections with different parts. Okay, 21 CFR part 312, that is for IND application. 21 CFR part 314, that is for INDA and ENDA application. So we have different types of form we need to submit to the regulatory agencies. So this is as per 21 CFR, different parts. Okay, part 1316, that is for orphan drugs. Part 58, that is for good lab practice for non-clinical laboratory. Part 50 is for protection of human subjects. Part 56, that is for institutional review board. Part 201 is for drug labeling and Part 54 is for financial disclosure by clinical investigator. That is for a example only, right? We need to consider 21 CFR in different parts. So as per need, we can choose, right? If we want to file IND application, in that case, we need to consider 21 CFR part 312. Likewise, we need to go. There is one term, investigator brochure, IB. Generally, it is called as IB. It is an compilation of clinical and non-clinical data. Okay, it is compilation of clinical and non-clinical data on investigational product that are relevant to study of the product in human subject. So it is just a compilation of non-clinical trial data and clinical trial data. It provides information to the investigator and all involved in the trial, such as dose frequency, interval, method of administration, and safety monitoring procedure. That is simply a document showing details regarding preclinical and clinical evaluation methods or whatever procedure they are doing. It is there in IB. It provides insight to support the clinical management of the study subject during the course of clinical trial. The information should be presented in the concise and simple manner. Contents of investigator brochures. That means which type of content is there in IB. So at first, there will be table of content, then summary, not more than 2 pages. Just they will highlight whatever they have included in that particular IB. First, third one is introduction. So in introduction, there will be chemical name of that particular compound, API related introductory part, pharmacological class, anticipated therapeutic or diagnostic indications, general approach to be followed in evaluating the IP. So that introductory part will be there at number 3. Then there will be description of IP. Here, physical, chemical, and pharmacological properties of IP, storage and handling of IP, and clinical data of IP will be considered. This is fourth part. Next one is non-clinical studies. The results of all relevant non-clinical pharmacology, toxicology, pharmacokinetic, and investigational product metabolism studies should be provided in summary form. So this is related with non-clinical studies. The information provided may include species tested, number of sex in each group, unit dose, dose interval, route of administration, and duration of dosing. That means overall procedure what they are using in preclinical as well as clinical stage. It is explained in detail in this investigator brochure. Okay, we call it as IB. Then effects in human. We have seen regarding preclinical. Now, sixth point is for effects in human. That is clinical trial data. A thorough discussion of the known effects of investigational product in human should be provided, including information on pharmacokinetics, metabolism, pharmacodynamics, dose response, safety, efficacy, and other pharmacological activities. Kinetics and product metabolism in humans. Summary of data and guidance for the investigator. This section should contain non-clinical data. So this is the contents of investigator brochure. So in short, we can say it contains clinical and preclinical data in detail. This is IB, investigators brochure. We have seen IB and INDA application. Next part is NDA, new drug application. If once we complete clinical trials, once we complete phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials, in that case, we got a specific data. Here, If clinical studies confirm that a new drug is relatively safe and effective, that is most important. Chemical compound is safe to the patient or not. We need to check that. Then the manufacturers file a new drug application, the actual request to manufacture and sell the drug in United States. So this is related with US application process. So we need to check safety and efficacy of that particular chemical compound in clinical trial. Once we confirm that it is okay, in that case we can file NDA application. So aims of NDA application, we need to check safety and effectiveness of drug. So NDA application filing, this is procedure. That means we are compiling the documents, that is from phase 1, 2, 3 trials, and we are saying to the regulatory authorities that the data which is obtained from these studies shows drug is having safety and effectiveness. Benefits overweight risk. Is the drug proposed labeling appropriate and what should it contain? So that type of data will be explained in that NDA application. Are the methods used in manufacturing the drug and control used to maintain the drug quality adequate to preserve the drug identity, strength, quality, and purity? So we need to check all that parameters. Whether it is okay or not, we need to submit the application to the regulatory authorities after phase 1, 2, 3 clinical trials. Okay. Once we complete preclinical study, which type of application is filed? That is INDA, investigational new drug application. And once we complete phase 1, 2, 3, that is clinical trials, then we need to file NDA application to the regulatory agencies. Then they will check all these details. Once the application is submitted, FDA has 60 days to conduct a preliminary review. Okay, this is most important. Once the application is submitted, FDA has 60 days to conduct a preliminary review, which will assess whether the NDA is sufficiently complete to permit substantive review or not. They will check within 60 days. If everything is found to be acceptable, in that case, FDA will decide whether to approve the drug or not. Okay. If the NDA will get a standard or accelerated review and communicate the acceptance of application and review choice in another communication known as 74 days later. So here in this case, they will check all the related data. If it is found to be okay, in that case, they will approve the same. They will communicate to the sponsor regarding the same, and they can again review the same documents 74 days later. This is flow chart. Here you can see applicant, that is drug sponsor. He will file the NDA application. Then the regulatory agency will check whether that particular application is fileable or not. If it is fileable, in that case, they will start review. Okay, they will review medical data, pharmacology data, chemistry data, biopharmaceutical data, statistical data, and microbiology data. Okay, if it is fileable, in that case, they will continue the review of this type of studies. If it is not fileable, in that case, they will say, they will send the letter to the sponsor regarding refuse to file. So in that case, application will be returned. But if it is okay, in that case, they will check this medical, pharmacology, chemistry, biopharmaceutical, statistical, and microbiological data. Then once they confirm the reports are okay, in that case, they will have advisory committee meeting. Okay, regulatory agency meeting will be there. Once the meeting is finished, then they will have meeting with sponsor also. Okay, advisory committee and sponsor meeting will be there. In that case, all the related documentation part, acceptance related issues will be discussed there with sponsor, and review complete and acceptable. If the review is complete and acceptable, in that case, if it is acceptable, they will review labeling and they will go for site inspection. Okay, once it is confirmed that all the related data is okay, in that case, they will start reviewing, labeling, acceptance, and they will go for inspection of site. Inspection of site means, that means what? The regulatory agency will visit the actual site, and there they will check the overall activities carried out, facility related issues, whether everything is going on with regulatory guidelines or not. They will check. If it is not, in that case, additional info or revision requested or submitted. If it is not possible, in that case, they will send this document to the sponsor for additional information, or if there is need to revise the document, in that case, they will say to revise the same. Okay, if it is acceptable, in that case, they will check labeling and they will go for site inspection. If it is found that it is okay, in that case, they will take action. NDA will take action. They will approve the drug. Otherwise, if it is not acceptable, in that case, it is again returned to the sponsor for pending satisfactory results. So in that case, they will return that particular document to the sponsor for additional documents or anything that need to be submitted. If the compliance is given by that sponsor, in that case, they will take action. That means whether it is acceptable or not, whether it is grantable or not. Once it is found that everything is fine, in that case, NDA application will be approved. That is called as NDA application. Okay, new drug application. So this is procedure for new drug application filing. The next part is bioequivalence studies. Bioequivalence means B studies are essential to ensure uniformity in standards of quality. Uniformity in standards of quality, efficacy, and safety of pharmaceutical product. That is most important with respect to bioavailability and bioequivalence studies. There should be quality. The product should have efficacy and safety, so that reasonable assurance can be provided for the various products containing same active ingredients marketed by different licensees are clinically equivalent and interchangeable. Both BA and BQ, bioavailability and bioequivalence, focus on release of drug substance from its dosage form and subsequent absorption in circulation. Similar approaches to measure bioavailability should be followed in demonstrating bioequivalence. So there is one diagram here. There is one X company drug and Y company drug. Impax Lab 150 mg bupropion, and one product is from BioVale. So how we can say this drug, these two different formulations are bioequivalent? Here in this case, you can see overall plasma concentration. It is around same, right? Overall plasma concentration as well as elimination of path of that particular product is again same. No doubt, chemical entity is same, but brands are different. Okay, brands are from different manufacturers. We need to check bioavailability and bioequivalence in this case. We need to check rate and extent to which active ingredient or active moiety is absorbed from drug and that is available for site of action. So bioavailability means what? How much amount of drug is available for site of action in bloodstream or circulation. And equivalence means what? It is a relative term that compares drug product with respect to specific characteristic or function or to be defined set of standards. That means what? Whatever the standard drug, they have their own product characteristics. It is same as that of other competitor drugs. That is equivalence. Equivalence with respect to dose, equivalence with respect to bioavailability, equivalence with respect to elimination path. So overall similarity is there with competitor drug. So in that case, we can say the drug is having bioequivalence or same bioavailability and bioequivalency. Why we need to discuss that BA and BQ? Because in some cases, we need to file ANDA application, abbreviated new drug application. In that case, what if there is one product in market, we call it as branded drug. Once the patent period is expired, in that case, what we do, generally competitors will try to manufacture that particular patented product. Once it is expired, they will start forming generic products. So in that case, we know that there will be high difference in price, right? For patented drugs, price will be higher. For generic molecules, price will be less. So here there is difference. What the difference is? They are just doing bioavailability and bioequivalence studies, right? Once the patent is finished, in that case, that particular compound is free. Anyone can manufacture that products, right? So in this case, number of competitors, companies will be there. They will start manufacturing XYZ compound. And there is need to submit documents to confirm that whether the new formulated product or formulation is having same bioequivalence or bioavailability as that of branded manufacturing, sorry, branded product. So if it is same, we need to submit the documents to the regulatory agencies. So that document is called as abbreviated new drug application, ANDA application. त्याच्यामध्ये काय होतं जनरली पेटंट पिरियड कितीपर्यंत असतो? साधारण 20 वर्ष असतो. काही केसेसमध्ये आपण तो 5 वर्षापर्यंत ऍडिशनल घेऊ शकतो. इन जर त्या कंपनीनं स्वतःचे सॉल्ट फॉर्म वगैरे आणले तर ऍडिशनल 5 इयर पर्यंत आपण त्यांना चान्स देऊ शकतो. वन्स द पेटंट इज एक्सपायर्ड, इन दॅट केस काय होतं, ज्या कॉम्पिटिटर कंपनीज असतील, समजा तो मॉलिक्यूल खूप जास्त प्रमाणात चालत असेल तर अशा केसमध्ये कॉम्पिटिटर कंपनी तो मॅन्युफॅक्चर करू शकतात. म्हणजे प्युअर ड्रगवर त्या कंपनीचा अधिकार राहत नाही. त्यानंतर कॉम्पिटिशनला जेव्हा कंपनीज असतात त्यावेळी ऑटोमॅटिक प्राइस कमी होत जाईल आणि ज्या नवीन कॉम्पिटिटर कंपनीज असतील त्यांना या ठिकाणी IND NDA ऍप्लिकेशन फाईल करायची गरज नाही. दे कॅन डायरेक्टली फाईल ANDA ऍप्लिकेशन. म्हणजे याच्यामध्ये काय होतं, याच्या पाठीमागचा जो वेळ गेलेला असेल त्या ब्रँडेड कंपनीचा साधारण 10 ते 15 वर्ष वेळ गेलेला असेल की ज्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी प्री क्लिनिकल क्लिनिकल स्टडीज केलेल्या असतील आणि मग तो प्रोडक्ट मार्केटमध्ये आणलेला असेल आणि त्याच्यामुळे आपण त्यांना 20 वर्षासाठी पेटंटच्या अंडर ग्रँट्स राईट ग्रँट्स करतोय, ज्याच्यामुळे काय होतं ते कितीही किंमत लावू शकतात. परंतु जेव्हा 20 वर्ष कंप्लीट होतात त्यावेळी ते पेटंट एक्सपायर होतं आणि मग कोणतीही कंपनी तो प्रोडक्ट मॅन्युफॅक्चर करू शकते. आणि तो प्रोडक्ट मॅन्युफॅक्चर करायला सुरुवात केल्यानंतर त्यांना इव्हिडन्स म्हणून तो जो नवीन प्रोडक्ट त्यांनी तयार केलेला असेल, नवीन प्रोडक्ट म्हणजे थोडक्यात फॉर्म्युला असेल. म्हणजे समजा पॅरासिटामॉल हे एक स्पेसिफिक केमिकल एंटिटी आहे. त्याचं लायसन्स किंवा पेटंट एक्सपायर झाल्यानंतर पॅरासिटामॉल कोणीही मॅन्युफॅक्चर करू शकतं. फक्त त्या प्रत्येकाचे फॉर्म्युले वेगळे असतील. समजा डिसइंटिग्रंट यांचा XYZ असेल तर त्यांचा ABC असेल. Likewise, there will be some changes in formula and they will file ANDA application. So या केसमध्ये काय होतं, कॉम्पिटिटर कंपनीज ला प्रीक्लिनिकल क्लिनिकल डेटा द्यायची गरज पडत नाही, कारण ते ऑलरेडी अप्रूव्ड असतात. फक्त आपल्याला काय करायला लागतं, वी नीड टू फाईल ANDA ऍप्लिकेशन. म्हणजे जे XYZ कंपनी फक्त एक पॅरासिटामॉल टॅबलेट तयार करत होती, पेटंट एक्सपायर झाल्यानंतर number of companies will start manufacturing paracetamol. So likewise, if they want to start manufacturing of paracetamol, in that case they should file abbreviated new drug application. So abbreviated new drug application मध्ये त्यांना फक्त बायो अवेलेबिलिटी आणि बायो इक्विव्हॅलन्स स्टडी चा रिपोर्ट जमा करायला लागतो. याच्यामध्ये काय असेल मग, बायो अवेलेबिलिटी आणि बायो इक्विव्हॅलन्स रिलेटेड जे स्टडीज आहेत ते त्यांनी कॅरी आउट केलेले असतात, and they should comply the observations by innovator company. The sponsor is not required to reproduce the clinical studies that were done for the original brand name product. That is most important. And this process is generally applicable for approval of generic drugs, no doubt. Instead, generic drug manufacturer must demonstrate that their product is the same and bioequivalent to previously approved brand name product. We need to confirm that only, and that's why we are sending bioequivalence report to the regulatory agency in the form of ANDA application. So this is flowchart for ANDA application. At first, there will be applicant. He will file ANDA application. Again, regulatory affair expert will do this work. He will compile all the related reports. Accordingly, he will submit to the regulatory agencies. Then the regulatory agency team will check whether that particular report is acceptable and complete. If it is yes, then they will start review. So review by different regulatory agencies. They will check bioequivalence review and chemistry micro review, labeling review, and request for plant inspection. These are 4 types of studies done in ANDA application. If the application is not complete or not acceptable, in that case, they will send refuse to file letter to the sponsor or applicant. If it is acceptable, in that case, they will review bioequivalence review report, and they will have plant visit, plant inspection. They will check labeling standards, all the related issues with respect to chemistry as well as microbiological, right? If all the reports are okay, in that case, they will confirm whether bioequivalence review is acceptable. If it is yes, they will go further. If chemistry micro labeling review is acceptable, in that case, they will pre-approval inspection acceptance. They will check pre-approval inspection. Pre-approval inspection. Once they finish pre-approval inspection, in that case, they will come to the conclusion that whether to approve that particular product or not. If it is satisfactory, if it is okay, in that case, they will give ANDA approval to the respective manufacturer or applicant. If there is deficiency in documentation, if there is deficiency in chemistry micro labeling related work, in that case, they will send the not acceptable letter to the applicant, right? So these are some consequences. If it is okay, then we'll proceed. If it is not okay, then they will send the letter to the particular applicant that it is not acceptable. Okay. So as per requirement, they will file the application. They will, regulatory agency will review all the data. If it is acceptable, they will approve that particular document. That is what ANDA application process or generic drug application process. Okay. Next part is clinical research protocols. Clinical research protocol. Whatever the studies we are doing after IND application, that comes under clinical research, right? We call it as phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4 trials. It is complete written description of and scientific rationale for the research activity involving human subjects. So there is planned activities, and that is discussed in that particular CR protocol. Sufficient information is to be gathered on quality of non-clinical safety to conduct the protocol, and health authority ethics committee approval is granted in the country where approval of the drug or device is sought. So that is most important. We need to follow respective countries' regulatory guidelines. We need to get approval from that regulatory agency to go further. The clinical trial design and objectives are written into a document called clinical trial protocol. So that means overall clinical trial design, that means whatever procedure they are doing, whatever the information, whatever facility they are using, all the related data, objectives of the study will be discussed in that particular clinical research protocol. It is document that states the background, objectives, rationale, design, methodology, and statistical consideration of the study. So overall it include all the things related with clinical trial study. It also states the condition under which the study shall be performed and managed. Look for better way to prevent disease in people who never had the disease, or to prevent a disease from returning. So generally, this clinical research protocol is used to clarify the research questions, to compile existing knowledge, to formulate hypotheses and objectives related with that particular clinical studies, to decide about study design, to clarify ethical considerations, to apply for funding, to have a guideline and tool for the research team. So these are some objectives that need to be considered. That is why we have that document, that is clinical research protocol. Parts of protocol. So these are 13 different points that need to be detailed, like title page, signature page, content page, list of abbreviation, introduction or abstract, objectives, background, eligibility criteria, study design, safety or adverse events, regulatory guidelines, statistical section, human subject protection or informed consent. So all the part will be there in clinical research protocol. So this is all about clinical research protocol. This is one type of document that contains all the related study material in the document. Next part is data presentation for FDA submission. So how, once we completed the overall data related with preclinical clinical trials, how we need to submit that data to the regulatory agencies in the form of NDA, INDA, ANDA applications. So that part we will discuss here. Study data standards describe a standard way to exchange clinical and non-clinical study data. Here we have already discussed that CFR, Code of Federal Regulations. So as per 21 CFR, with different parts or section, we need to submit the data to the regulatory agencies. So as per type of application, we need to consider that. These standards provide a consistent general framework for organizing study data, including templates for dataset, standard names for variables, identify appropriate control terminology, and standard ways of doing calculations with common variables. So these 4-5 things need to be considered while presenting data to the FDA for submission for approval. Data standards also help FDA receive, process, review, and archive submissions more efficiently and effectively. See, If the data is compiled in very good manner, programmed one, structured one, in that case, FDA will review that work very easily and they will complete the task as per programmed timelines. So for that, data presentation is most important, and for that we need to consider different forms sections from CFR. EPDA has been working towards a standardized approach to capture, receive, and analyze study data. Standardization of study data is vital to integrate pre-marketing study data, post-marketing safety data to improve public health and patient safety. So that is most important. We are checking overall safety and efficacy of drug in phase 1 to 3 human clinical trial. But once we got approval for NDA application, in that case phase 4 trial, that means post marketing safety data that need to be evaluated. Central to this version is the creation of enterprise data infrastructure within FDA to improve the management of all structured scientific data. So here we need to submit the data as per protocols. And last part is management of clinical studies. So whatever clinical studies we are doing after IND application, how we need to manage all that studies in programmed way. Clinical trial management is most simply defined as the process that an organization follows to ensure that quality is delivered efficiently and punctually. That is most important. We need to check whether we are doing, whether whatever we are doing in the facility, we need to ensure the quality. We need to ensure efficiency. It refers to the standards driven process that a project manager initiates and follow in order to successfully manage clinical trial sites. Clinical research associates workflow by using clinical trial management tool or software prolonged timeline and heavy cost related to larger trials have been prompted a new focus on more efficient clinical trial management. So we need to have programmed way, we need to go efficiently, we should categorize the work. For that, clinical trial management is most important because we need to complete the project within the timeline. If it is not, we need to check what type of issues are there, we need to prevent such type of issues and complete the project as per given timeline. It is possible to dramatically reduce the total cost of clinical trial by 60 to 90% without compromising the scientific validity of result. Okay, this is possible with clinical trial management. If there is programmed approach, in that case we can reduce the cost, okay, overall 60 to 90% without changing any type of quality standards. Life cycle of clinical trial project, more accurate control regardless of therapeutic area or trial stages is ensured by typically breaking down the life cycle of each clinical trial project into 4 pages. That means what we are doing here in clinical trial management, we are categorizing the work so that we can go accordingly. So first part will be conceptual. We should learn the concept. We should have all the details related with the activity which we are carrying out. Then we should have plan. This is second step, planning. Once we plan, we need to implement that plan. So third part is implementation of that particular plan. If we are going structurally, in that case we can get a positive results definitely. And last part is analysis. If we are going through this way, then success will be yours. That is why we need to consider clinical trial management. That will reduce overall cost also. Okay, this is under clinical trial management. There is one word, clinical trial protocol. A protocol is a document that describes purpose, design, methodology, statistical consideration, organization of study, and provides basic information and rationale for the clinical study. We call it as clinical trial protocol. So here, overall description of the project, overall design of that particular project, how we are going, that is methodology that is discussed, statistical consideration in the sense we need to check doses, okay, frequency of doses, time interval. So we need to consider that, that comes under statistical consideration and organization of study. So all things will be considered under clinical trial protocol. The content that should be present in the protocol are described by GCP. That means the person who is actually involved in the work. That is as per good clinical practices. GCP means good clinical practices. We need to follow all the regulatory guidelines. The protocol writing is a task for one person, usually the principal investigator, not a committee. That is most important statement. See here, if the person is working, actual person who is working over there, he should write that particular protocol. Okay, that means who has done that work, he should write that particular document so that it will be correct one. There are various challenges of project management in clinical trial. Clinical trial all need the same coordinated procedures and systems irrespective of the size, scope, cost and period. So as per requirement, we need to change every issues. We need to consider every issues. Facility related issues will be there, or as per type of activity we need to change facility. So these type of challenges are there in project management for clinical trials. The key challenge is to implement and maintain effective management system. So that is most important challenge, and techniques in response to the needs of trial project. So that is one of the major challenge, otherwise we can go very efficiently. Last one is CTD, common technical document, that I think we have already discussed. CTD and ECTD. So CTD means what? It contains manufacturing, importing, or conducting a clinical trial require permission for the licensing authority through a Form 44 application. So form number 44. The application follows international submission requirements of common technical documents. So common technical document, it has 5 modules. So here it is discussed module 1, 2, 3, 4. So as per requirement, we can consider different types of studies. So module 1, it is with respect to regional admin information. Module 2, that is related with quality, non-clinical overview, non-clinical summary, clinical overview and clinical summary. Module 3 deals with quality. Module 4 deals with non-clinical study reports, and Module 5 deals with clinical study reports. So we have categorized that common technical document into 5 different modules. So as per requirement, we can consider that different modules. In conclusion, we can say the drug approval in US, Europe, and India are the most demanding in the world, because US has their own guidelines, specifications, and that is most demanding in the world. European Union, there are number of countries under that regulatory guidelines, and India's regulatory guidelines are most demanding in the world, because all these three, US, Europe, and India, we are exporting number of products global. We are exporting number of products to the different countries, and they are following US, Europe, and India's regulatory guidelines. The primary purpose of this rule governing medicinal product in US, Europe, and India is to safeguard public health. So reason behind this regulatory submission is to safeguard the public health. Otherwise, we know that thalidomide tragedy and all. To prevent such type of events, one should go with this process only for new drug. It is the role of public regulatory authorities to ensure that pharmaceutical companies comply with regulations. There are legislation that require drug to be developed, tested, trialed, and manufactured in accordance to the guidelines so that they are safe and patients' well-being is protected. So that is main aim behind this. Okay, thank you. This is all about drug regulatory affairs and regulatory requirements for drug applications.